I'm here with a couple of fantastic folks from Vimeo, and we are going to chat with you today about all that is Vimeo, all that is high definition video, and maybe a little bit of New York startups and maybe hot fixed-it. We'll get to that later. We'll start over here. We have Clayman. He's the general manager of Vimeo Audience Network, former publisher of The Daily, former EVP of digital strategy at News Corp. Basically a lot of background in the video business. Here we have Andrew Pyle. He's the CTO at Vimeo. He calls himself the chief bit puncher. He started over at with College Humor. He's one of the original guys. And enough about me. I'll turn it over to Andrew first to kind of situate you with the history of Vimeo, how they got here today, and what you started as. If you want to take it away.
Good morning. Hello. I was just looking at these rails. Do you think this was like a meat locker back in the day? Like they hung.
Oh, wow.
It's weird, right? Anyway, while you're thinking about that, I'll give you a quick history of Vimeo. So yeah, I started at College Humor back in 2005, and Vimeo was already sort of a thing back then. It was a side project of some of the founders of College Humor, basically something that we worked on kind of after work, after we were done working on CH. Fast forward to 2006, College Humor got acquired by IAC, Interactive Corp, big white building on the West Side Highway. If you haven't seen it, they own
very
things
pretty.
like, yeah, very, very small, understated building. They own things like Match.com and Ask and other internet properties. And they acquired College Humor primarily for the kind of content business and the audience that they had, and kind of accidentally acquired Vimeo too, because it was a side project that they had going. Right around that time, Google buys YouTube. YouTube is a big deal. Everyone wants to get into video. IAC kind of realizes they accidentally bought this video sharing company. And beginning of 2007, I, along with two of the Vimeo founders, start working on Vimeo full time. And that's kind of how Vimeo came to be its own operating thing.
So at the time, Vimeo was really a platform for people, for you and your friends, for the founders, for other people in that fold to upload their videos.
Yeah, so I mean, the original incarnation of Vimeo was actually a kind of like a single serving site that the founder Jake Lodwick had made only for his own videos. And you could actually go to it, and he had a list of all of his friends, and you could check off some of his friends and hit make video, and it actually make you a video right there. So that was the first version of Vimeo. Had nothing to do with video upload or video sharing. It was really just about creating these like dynamic videos of his friends specifically. And of course, when he showed this off, like the first question people asked was, you know, how can I do this for my own stuff? And that's when upload came into play. You know, this is back in the day when the limitation was like 5 megabytes per video, and you know, it was like before flip cams even. So I don't really know how he like even recorded this video. Like it was all like weird, crappy cameras from Taiwan and stuff that were like totally, you know, recorded like postage stamp size stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was very much like whatever you could fit into 5 megs or like 30 seconds. That was kind of what the original content of Vimeo very much looked like. And obviously it's evolved a lot since then.
So then y'all jumped in, you developed the platform, you kind of built it out. How are you different than a YouTube? Why would people go to a Vimeo versus a YouTube if you look at kind of what you were doing in those 2010, 2011, 2012 days?
Right, so I have always considered Vimeo to be kind of like the flip side of the coin with YouTube. So whereas YouTube, you know, very much is about massive audience and having every video in the world on it and serving ads on those videos, Vimeo very much tries to build and kind of cater to the creator side. So the people uploading the video is really how we have, those are people that we've traditionally, you know, built the product for and have kind of focused most of our energy on. So things like better privacy, higher quality video, a nicer community. These are kind of the core tenets that we were going after, especially then. It's changed a lot and grown. Like we have things like Vimeo on demand, and which
he'll get to.
We'll get to him.
So let's bring it over to Greg. So in 2012, Fortune called Vimeo the hipster YouTube. Do you think it's still that? How have you moved away from that, and what are you doing now to kind of fast forward that?
You know, it's funny.
The Brooklyn YouTube.
My first experience, or not my first, one of my first experiences with Vimeo was actually sort of exactly the use case that Andrew's describing, where I had put a it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and my wife was pregnant at the time, and we had put a video of her up on. We wanted to share a video of her sort of like, pregnant in a jog bra, like with her mom, right? So we put it up on YouTube because her mom is, not going to like download the file off whatever. And we didn't tag it, we didn't do anything, we just put it up on YouTube and shared the link. And I noticed a few days later it had 1,000 views, and I thought, well, that's weird. And I looked, and first of all, the comments were like terrifying, right? I can't even get into, like, they were just horrifying, and it had been linked to by all of these blogs, these like Prego Lover 4000, whatever. And I was like, ah! Oh,
Hey man, that's my other account, if you could just...
it was, and people had found it, they had linked to it, they were commenting on it, oh, send more please, oh, you're so hot. So we immediately, we pulled it all down, we canceled our account, and I immediately got a Vimeo account, and was like, great, okay, so look, now it's private, there's a password, grandma can figure it out, and I was not a sort of Brooklyn hipster video creator. I was just a dude who didn't want disgusting comments on my videos. I guess about a year, was it 15 months ago that VOD launched? Yeah. The community, and Andrew can talk more about this than I can, but the community has grown tremendously over the years of people of creators who create and share high quality videos. And about 15 months ago, Vimeo launched the ability for people to sell that stuff, right? So it's sort of amazing because it was really sort of straightforward. Like, anybody can sell any piece of content, right? Any piece of video content. And what happened was that quickly grew. I mean, literally, it was like 5 months after that I joined the company because I thought that was really exciting and very cool. And you had distributors of documentary and independent films using Vimeo to get their films out directly to their audiences. You had YouTube creators who were creating longer, more high quality pieces, who were marketing those pieces to their audiences. There were indie films, documentaries, their instructional videos do very well. It's a really, really, really surprisingly broad categories and surprisingly broad genres of video in that category. It's not sort of, I wouldn't call it a Brooklyn hipster thing. Whoa, I like that.
Would you... More the Brooklyn hipster aspect.
This is my art. I brought my videos to show you guys today. I call this Starfish. Sorry.
But back to what you were saying, Greg, as we enjoy the starfish art behind us. Would Vimeo On Demand have been as successful if you had not had kind of that reputation of being a quality platform, of being a private platform, one that content creators have control over?
No, I mean the high quality aspect of Vimeo, I think is behind a lot of the success across the board. I mean, that's true. That's true of the free videos. That's true of advertisers who work with our creative community to make original content. I think it's certainly true of VOD. It is the ability. If you sort of think about it, like on one end of the spectrum, you've got YouTube, and that's an ad-supported business, and it's great, and it's everything in the world, right? It's everything. It's huge, and God bless them. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got your like Netflix or iTunes, right? It's Hollywood, which again, like high quality, great, new girl, love it. But it's, you better have been on broadcast TV or, opened theatrically if you're going to be there. And then there's this broad space in the middle, right, of like all of this other really great high quality video content that is looking for audiences and finding audiences. And that is, we sort of play in that vast middle.
So you have a background with, MTV, with Viacom. Where is that network experience? How are you using that? Are you using that to potentially compete with the Netflixes of the world, the Amazon original content?
Well, it's interesting. So it's different from the Netflixes of the world because in a lot of ways, but primarily because of the open platformness of it, the fact that anybody can create anything, and that's interesting because you've got lots of different types of formats. For example, some of the content that's done really well on the VOD platform, it's been like 35-minute videos. Some guy did a documentary about sriracha, right? And where it comes from and what it is. And it's great. It's a great piece. It's a 35-minute piece. He charged $5 for it. There's no place for that on iTunes. It's too short, right? They don't. So Netflix ain't paying for it, right? On YouTube, he can put something like that on YouTube, but with a $5 CPM and a 50% sell through, and YouTube taking half of what you make, like it's just you would need 100 million views before you'd make 50 grand. Whereas engaging the audience that he has, that this particular creator has built up, and getting folks to buy 5,000 copies of that, 4,000 copies of that, that's a real way for them to make money. So it's very different from Netflix in that regard.
So I want to jump in for a second. That player is integral in this kind of having it make economic sense for content creators. I know that the Vimeo player did not look like it did. It didn't function like it did. Andrew, did you all have to basically break that and rebuild it? How did that work?
You mean like historically, like over time, or for the VOD specifically? Or?
Yeah, to get the VOD.
Give us the history of the Vimeo player.
Oh,
yes.
Man, it's a storied and beautiful one. Back in the day, Vimeo was basically just using, embedded QuickTime, which basically, crashed Internet Explorer like every other time you tried to watch a video.
Yeah, I used to love that.
Yeah,
right?
that was the best part. When the thing that YouTube really put over the top was the fact that they used Flash. Like, no one else was really using Flash. It was like, that was like a big innovation to use Flash for video. And, obviously everyone kind of went that way. And the player for us, it's like, Vimeo it's a relatively large site in general, but the Vimeo player itself is massive compared to that. I mean, it's like 10 times the traffic, and it's embedded all over the place. Like, you can't look at a Facebook newsfeed, you can't look at a Twitter stream, you can't look at a blog without seeing a Vimeo embed, basically. So it's obviously a very important piece of infrastructure for us, and I think the thing that was super exciting with VOD was for these video creators who didn't necessarily, some of them had built-in audiences, some of them didn't, but
right.
We noticed, especially with Sriracha, that the trailer for that video was getting a lot of press. This is at the time that I think a Sriracha factory burned down or something.
Well, they had been shut down because it smelled so awful.
Right.
It's the
Searing the neighbor's noses.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are all these
there
are all these news articles about Sriracha out there and how the factory's like giving people nosebleeds, and people were embedding this Sriracha trailer for the movie, and everywhere that trailer went, there was like a buy it now button. So, kind of what we realized with this kind of embed network that we had built, that was, everywhere a trailer travels now, that's actually a storefront for people to buy this Vimeo on-demand content. So that was, I think, a big deal for us. And what's interesting is we didn't really have to rejigger all that much to make this happen. This is very much like a logical step in the kind of video process or the player process of like, this is just a new piece of functionality and it will just travel wherever the player travels.
So for the last few months, the Vimeo player has been top 8 in the US on ComScore. People are obviously watching the videos, but we only have so much time in the day. With the Microsofts, the Yahoos, AOL, Netflix, Amazon, all trying to get into that space. How are you building that audience? How are you bringing them in? How are you fighting for those viewing hours?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. It was interesting, and I think Andrew alluded to this. The Vimeo on-demand storefront, right, continues to grow and evolve, and in fact grow as a generator of traffic for our sales overall. In fact, we got some interesting new numbers I wanted to share with you after this. But
no, let's share them with the world. Come on.
But it is, but it's growing as a place that people are sort of coming and finding it. But the distributed nature of the player is really, really important, right? What Andrew was talking about, the fact that anywhere you put your trailer, anywhere you put your video, you can purchase it and watch it on that site. You can do it on social media as well. I mean, we've seen it. There's it's called a documentary called As Palaces Burn. It's a band called Lamb of God, and they're a metal band, and it's a documentary about them. And they went on tour, and the lead singer pushed a guy off a stage, and he died, and he was arrested for murder. And it's like in like Denmark or something. I mean, it's huge, and they've got a giant, massive audience. And you saw these people tweeting about it, right? And and this is what I love about our player. All you have to do is include the link, right? Just, hey, check this out in your tweet. It becomes an embedded video, right? Which you can just click to buy. And if you've ever bought anything from us before, right? You've got your credit card. If you're logged in, it's even better, right? Because then you just go click. Oh, now I'm watching it, and it's in your watch later queue. You can see it on your Apple TV when you get home.
Yeah, and I think that with embeds are interesting because they do travel with other content that makes them more relevant. So things like, if it's in your newsfeed, it's because somebody liked it or somebody shared it, and that's obviously more relevant than something like, for example, what Yahoo's trying to do, which is very much still this kind of like portal-based thing, and they're trying to be a destination. Vimeo is a destination in a lot of ways and for a lot of people, but like I mentioned, 10 times more interaction happens off of Vimeo.com with the player and everywhere that travels.
And part and part of that, and it's just a different model. Like Yahoo is a good example because they are ad-based, right? So with their 700 million or 750, whatever the number is, million uniques, and that homepage is incredibly valuable, and they want people on their properties because that's where they're selling ads against that, and there are display ads, and there's programmatic ads, and there's pre-roll, and there's mid-roll, and there's post-roll, and there's lower thirds. And
the ones that all of us consumers love.
Oh, we love that. No one loves ads more than me, but it's that's the business, right? And they've got tremendous scale there, and that kind of that should be people I know who work over there. The goal is you want your thing on the homepage. When you have your thing on the homepage, that thing will get traffic. Whereas having a wide ad-free distributed network, it's a different model.
So y'all have gotten into, you set up the player, you have the content creators, you have the VOD now. Now you're kind of pushing a little bit of original content with this new high maintenance deal. Talk a little bit about that. I got to watch all of the episodes. They're really interesting, and I'll tell you my favorite in a minute. But how did that come about?
I'm really curious to hear what your favorite episode is.
Yes.
So,
do you want me to tell you now?
Yes.
I think it was probably the Homeless Heidi. There's Homeless Heidi. There's a girl.
Homeless Heidi.
Yes.
That's
a girl
a real
who
thing.
is basically shacking with a dude in Brooklyn and.
Wait, that's a real thing.
No, that's based off a real person.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Everyone now needs to go watch the Heidi episode.
People?
Oh, the hipster grifter.
That's
Oh my God.
Ripped straight from the headlines.
I didn't know that.
So it's relevant and catchy and has to do with a pot dealer. So tell us more about how this came about.
So there's a series on Vimeo. It's called High Maintenance, and it's really, really, really good. You should all check it out. And the creators of that are this couple who they write each episode and shoot each episode, and they've been doing it on like a shoestring budget. And they really play with the sort of form of what an episode of content can be. If the story only takes 5 minutes to tell, it'll be 5 minutes long. If it takes 15 minutes to tell, it'll be 15 minutes long. And they go sort of back and forth in that. The sort of conceit of the show is that there's a pot dealer, and he goes and delivers pot to somebody. Sometimes he's really involved in the episode. Sometimes he comes and disappears, right? And again, it's really kind of all over the map. And it really it gives you this kind of really interesting peephole on other people's lives in New York and throughout a lot of Brooklyn, Manhattan. It's really, really interesting. It's really funny, and it's got a tremendous response from the audience. And he's like getting the guy who is one of the producers and writers who stars Ben Sinclair as the pot dealer is now getting recognized on the street. Which is a new and weird thing, as I imagine it would be. So we are big fans of theirs, and we basically, and it's free, and it's sort of on the free platform. And we said, well, what do you guys want to do with this? And they were like, well, we want to keep our freedom, right? We want to be able to continue to do whatever we want to do and make the show whatever we want to make it. We'd like to figure out a way to make money for it. Maybe we'll charge for it. And we basically worked out an agreement where we would fund the production of the next couple cycles of this, and in exchange it would be on our VOD on-demand platform. We don't know what the pricing will be. We don't know how it's going to be packaged. We're all sort of figuring it out together. But that's now become our first sort of toe in the water of original content production, right?
But when I look at that, there are a couple keys that I think it's I don't see it having a space in other distribution platforms.
That is correct.
Because is iTunes going to take a 7-minute video, a 34-minute video, 6-minute video? B, typically the film creators have to get in with distribution networks, have their agents pay them the price to get their content out there and push it. And then whoever's taking the content might have some input, which might not necessarily be favorable to the creators.
Yes.
So are those things that you all had in mind when you're selecting this?
That's really well said. It's things that both of us had in mind. I mean, these guys have had some experience working with TV and getting notes, and being like, but that doesn't make sense. It's about a pod dealer, and so it is the ability for us to be able to say you have complete freedom over form and content, for them to have that freedom over form and content, and to have this type of stuff that, to your point, doesn't have that sort of natural. I mean, it sounds so prosaic, but like the length of content, right, is something that's really important for traditional distribution. Right, it's got to be 22 minutes, so you can sell 8 minutes of ads against it. So you can, put 4 seasons of 10 together into a package and sell that internationally. It has to have those things for it to go through that channel, or it can't go through that channel. And for content that doesn't, conform to that, for creative reasons or otherwise, we have a whole sort of new direct channel for that. It's interesting. I think we'll see a lot more of that sort of experimentation with form and format.
You're also doing things like, I know there are a couple videos that premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, and within minutes they're up on the VOD platform.
Yeah.
Where was the thinking in that? Why are you looking to that kind of audience and the content creators? Well,
there are cases, and I think one of the cases you're referencing is Joss Whedon wrote a film called In Your Eyes. It premiered at Tribeca, and look, Joss Whedon has an audience. I mean, he's got an audience of people who know who he is, who are interested in his content, and so to take that film out and bring it to a traditional distributor who's going to take 20 to 30% or 15 of what you make, and then bring that out to platforms like Apple, who will take 30%, and Amazon, who's similar, and or selling it to Netflix and you'll get a check. Like that's one path for that content, and there's a lot of hands out in that path. If you've got that audience or that sort of direct path to an audience, to be able to say, you know what, this thing premiered, you guys all know about it, now it's available. You can all go right now to the web, you can download it, you can stream it, you can watch it on your TV via any connected device. We have a 90-10 revenue split with creators, so you keep most of the money, right? And you sell to that audience that you know is there for you. Now, after that, right, does it make sense to then take something like that and begin to say, right, okay, now I'll put it on iTunes, and now I'll put it in all of these places where it'll live forever? Sure. There are different audiences for different platforms, but that core direct audience that you have that communication with, whether it's via Twitter or Facebook or on a YouTube subscribers, frankly, to be able to really take advantage of distributing directly to them, taking most of the money to yourself as a creator, is really compelling, and it was certainly compelling for Whedon in that crew.
With those platforms, I know I can queue up Vimeo on my Roku. Where are you all? Where are you moving? And also, how much does mobile come into play for Vimeo?
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because I think in the past couple of years there's been like a really big shift from a consumer's perspective of like what I can do with my media, but also the things I buy. Like the expectation now is if I buy a piece of content or I see a piece of content, I should be able to basically view that thing anywhere, like on my phone, on my desktop, on my TV. So
we're a fickle group, us millennials.
Yeah, you just want everything. But I think with TV it's an interesting one because you kind of need to be everywhere to make the claim that you're playable on TV. So it's like we're on Apple TV, we're on Roku, we're on Samsung, we're on a host of other ones which are smaller. I mean, the biggest ones obviously Apple TV and Roku, like those seem to get the most attention and usage. And half of our traffic is mobile web traffic, plus you have an app. So for us, it's a really big deal to be able to say that kind of wherever you travel, stuff travels with you. Things like the watch later button, where it's like you could be on a blog somewhere, you could see a trailer in your newsfeed, and you can hit watch later, go home, and that's on your TV. that's really powerful stuff. And I know that's a little cutting edge still for some people, but that's going to be the norm for sure very soon.
It's also one of those things that's cutting, well, and maybe this answers your question, it's one of those things that's cutting edge, but when you start using it, right, when you start seeing, you start essentially bookmarking videos or because I watch a lot of our films, and be able to say, okay, this one, so that when you go and sit down on your couch in front of your television and power up your Roku or Apple TV, and the last couple of days of videos that you had wanted to watch, whether they're full-length feature films, whether they're 30-second stop motion animation, are all there. Like once you start using it, it's hard to not use it.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to the kind of the question you asked before. It's like there's so many hours in a day. There's kind of like sensory overload in a lot of ways. Something like a watch later button that lets you take a bunch of funny video content that your friends have been sending you all day, and just being able to queue that up and sit down and enjoy it like at a place and time of your choosing, whether it be
when
like
you can binge.
embedded in your phone. Yeah, exactly. So that's big. I think a big use case too is people being able to like defer this viewing. You could purchase something from a tweet and then go home and watch it with your family that night.
And it's right in the same, as I've got little kids, so I obviously shoot a lot of video, right? And we'll take the videos that and basically save them to Vimeo, and I use the Cameo, right, which is the guys are all sitting back there, which is part of Vimeo now to shoot that sort of stuff, and it's right there with the staff picks that I want to see, with the thing I purchased for the tweet, all kind of in one happy home.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot about kind of the viewing and more higher end content side, but like this expectation of my stuff should be viewable everywhere is now bleeding over into the kind of like creation capture side. So stuff like Dropbox, stuff like automatic syncing of content. If I shoot something on my camera, I kind of just expect to be able to watch it on my TV near instantly. Things like modification of that video, like stringing things together, the video creation side, a lot of what Cameo is trying to do. This is all going to start becoming kind of one more seamless experience. It's going to be less about, I go to YouTube, I go to things that YouTube told me to watch, I watch them there, I go away. We're trying to kind of hook into that desire for people to enjoy higher quality things on the screen they want to enjoy it on when they want to do it.
So in terms of keeping up with these trends and keeping up with these changes, obviously culture within the company is going to be really important. The first time I ever came to the Vimeo offices, I walked in through the pantry area and there were people with a model head putting green goop on it. And they said it was a creative experience. How would you describe it? Am I tattletaling on your
no, I don't
employees?
know.
How would you describe the culture and why, how were you able to kind of keep up with the quickly changing video landscape?
You want me to take this one?
I mean, we keep Vimeo weird. I don't know. You can get into the details of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've managed to maintain a culture because I think we've been very lucky in that a lot of people have really stayed with the company for a long time. I mean, I've been there a long time, but some of the first people we hired are still there. So I think there's a very kind of like intrinsic understanding and kind of product sets that really flows throughout most of the company. So scaling it in that way hasn't been, I don't think, that difficult. I think managing 160 people, that's the nuts and bolts of doing that is definitely hard. But that's true. Bringing in something like Vimeo On Demand and building like an audience network is something that we were not well versed in doing that kind of thing. Like we could build better privacy tools, we could make upload better, we were good at the player, but things like promoting plays is really not something we did. Because we don't sell ads, because we don't make money when somebody clicks play, if you go to a Vimeo video page, you're pretty much just going to see the video. It doesn't look like YouTube where there's a ton of other recommended content that they want you to click on. And that's a little against what VOD is trying to accomplish. So that has been a bit of a shift kind of culturally, and that's been really interesting. And it's exciting. I mean, everyone wants more video plays, and
in
for the
terms
site
of
to grow in
figuring
that
out
way.
how to think about selling yourself or selling the content, or how has that been a shift?
It's just a matter. To me, it's more a matter of the fact that you've got. As the latest ComScore, I think it's 170 million viewers. It's over 170.
Going to Vimeo.com.
Yes. Yeah. on views a month, globally. And so the question is kind of how do you manage that? How do you continue to engage that group, right? To let them know that VOD exists, to show them content they might be interested in without going all the way down the route of, I mean, God, you've seen those horrible screens on some other video companies where it's like there's more real estate as to what they want you to see next than there is the thing you're actually looking at. It's down the right rail, it's underneath. There's 9 things, and when it's over, so balancing that out, I think is important. You asked about culture, and look, it's 100 and almost 160 people. It's amazing how many people were at the company when it was 20 people, right? And having that through line, I think, is really, really, really important. There's an entire audio visual history of Vimeo online. On our own site.
It's true, yeah. It's like we document so much stuff around the office that it's like you can delve into these archives, and it's like it's weird. It's total
weird
time machine,
and incredibly embarrassing for some people, which is,
myself included.
But it's I don't know of another company that does that.
Even within IAC, even with a big public parent company, Overlord.
I don't know how many of those videos they've watched. If they watched most of them, they might object. But no, I mean, working in ISC has been an interesting experience for sure. I mean, when we first moved into that big Frank Gehry building, it was kind of a challenge because we were surrounded by, a bunch of other companies that were a little more, serious, I guess, and larger. I think we've had we've had a ton of success at ISC. Obviously, we owe a lot to growing up there. Recently, it's been really great because as we've scaled the company up, just numerically with the number of employees we have, we've been able to take over more space, and it begins to feel a little more like kind of our playpen. So that part, I think we actually did really well. Yeah.
Is there more pressure to monetize? I know there's some changes happening at IAC. Barry Diller has specifically called out Vimeo as kind of a rising star within the company. Has that kind of tap been turned in terms of pressure to perform versus kind of the crazy college humor?
He had a great quote in the last earnings call when he was asked that, and he basically said, our goal is to continue to turn this into an enduring brand, right? So there's a long-term. I mean, nobody plays the long game like ISC, and it's a great place to be for that because there's we are making more money, and we are growing, and we are certainly becoming a bigger piece of that. But the goal is a long-term enduring growth, and it's great to be in that environment.
Yeah, I mean, they want it to be bigger. They want more viewers, they want more video views, they also want more people paying for our subscription product, and they want more.
Which is the bread and butter.
Purchases.
That's the moneymaker.
That is the bread and butter. That's the really mature business line. But yeah, I mean, they kind of want it all, of course. I mean, yeah.
Well, I want to take the opportunity if anyone has any questions for these wonderful gentlemen. Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's something we think about a lot. I mean, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we talk.
The question is about net neutrality, if you all couldn't hear.
Right. The question was basically how net neutrality will affect Vimeo.
Right.
Oh man, this is such a loaded question.
I know. It's why I'm letting you take it.
Well, look. I mean, we're not Comcast. We're not NBC. We don't own the pipes and the content, and we also, we're not Netflix either, we don't have, 50,000 titles or however many Netflix has. We have many tens of millions of videos. So, some of the technical problems Netflix have, we don't have, and some of the technical problems they don't have, we do have. So we're always going to rely on, things like transit providers and, cutting better, closer deals with the ISPs is maybe something that will have to happen. I mean, I don't want there to be an internet fast lane for sure. I don't think anyone does. I think we fall on the side of an open internet as much as anyone. So it's not a good thing in that regard. But at the same time, we're not really competing in the same way as somebody like Netflix is with, people are basically making decisions like, do I watch my Apple TV and watch this movie on Apple TV, or do I watch it through my cable box? It's like, that's a pretty clear and obvious problem for these ISPs and cable providers. I don't think that we present quite the same threat in that way. That being said, obviously anything that, any net neutrality rules that get made will probably affect us to some degree. I mean, we've predicated our entire product on quality. Video quality, video fidelity, good playback. So we're going to have to maintain that one way or the other. Will it cost us more money? I mean, yeah.
I mean, it comes down
probably,
to that.
if that's what happens, yeah. Another interesting thing is we do video upload, which Netflix doesn't even kind of consider that. So we actually care about the pipe going the other way too, which has been left out of the conversation. So I don't know. That's a whole other interesting thing too.
Other questions from the audience? No? Okay, well then, these gentlemen are going to be subjected to a little bit of word response. I'm going to give you a word. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your head, and maybe a little bit of explanation, if that's helpful. Greg, I'll start with you. Pre-roll ads.
Marshmallows. Oh, sorry. Wait. That was the first word that came to my head. I don't know why.
Pre-roll ads.
Don't like.
Why?
Do not want. Why? I don't know. That's, there was a study. It was or I don't remember the name of the company that did this. Just recently, they looked at 2 months worth of pre-roll ads, video ads online, and found that 57% of them were unwatchable. What I mean is not watched. I mean literally unwatchable. Like in a 1-inch by 2-inch video screen below a fold, auto playing on mute. Right, the old line that I know I'm wasting half my advertising budget. I don't know which one. Well, this is half you're wasting, right? Like it is. People don't generally like watching pre-rolls. I don't know people that are generally engaged in them, and it's not something that appeals to us.
Brownie.
Brownie? Like chocolate brownie?
Like chocolate brownie.
He gets brownie. I get
I know.
pre-roll.
I did not see that one coming.
Poor word choice. Maybe I still have Heidi on my mind from High Maintenance.
Oh, pot brownie. Right.
Lady will take an edible if she
Yes.
can get it. I'll throw another one your way. Tablet.
Tablet? Oh God, consumption. That's so lame.
Consumption.
Sorry.
No. My response, the fact that that's where my brain goes is consumption is like, I'm disappointed in myself.
Tablet, that is so lame.
No, tablet's that's a perfectly good word.
No, but
So why consumption?
Because
We've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think people's expectations with tablets is like it's a thing that you can sit down and basically watch content on. I say consumption because like we always talk about consumption versus creation at Vimeo. I think this is a conversation lots of app makers have, but it's kind of like creation is not really broken into the tablet in like a big way yet. It's bizarre because phones, which are in a lot of ways harder to work with, I think it's like because of things like cameras, and that's kind of like the go-to device for capturing things. Creation actually lies more on the phone side than the tablet side right now, so I think consumption when I hear tablet.
Do you think that we'll see more content creation from the tablet? Is it easy enough? Is it the platform? Why haven't we seen that?
I think it's like a lot of it's just getting kind of media into the device. I mean, obviously I'm kind of photo and video centric. I mean, it might not be the same for somebody who writes screenplays. I think they would probably rather do it on a tablet than a phone. But yeah, I think it's this kind of concept of like, we all have seen those people holding up their iPads at concerts, and you're just like,
you take pictures
stop
of them?
doing that.
You're doing that wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So my hope is that with things like I spoke about before, this kind of like continuity of content, like everywhere you go, the things you capture are, shooting stuff on your phone and then editing in your tablet might very well be a real thing sooner rather than later.
So we have a couple minutes left. Do you all have any parting thoughts? Correct.
Parting thoughts?
Yes.
No, not as much. I'm enjoying the festival thus far. I've never been to this before. I think it's pretty cool.
Okay, so I went to this place. Oh, I went to the Northside Festival like 2 years ago, and I went to the ones that were, one of the talks was in Brooklyn Brewery, which, has anyone been to the brewery this morning?
No.
How did it smell? It was fine? When I went, it did not smell good. It smelled like, making beer does not smell good.
It smelled like yeast.
Yeah, and there were people on stage like trying to talk, and everyone was kind of like the entire time. So I'm really glad that it does not smell here. That's my parting
that's your
thought.
parting thought.
Yes.
You guys
Thanks
smell
everyone
great.
for coming and listening in. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.